So in this video, we're going to be looking at kind of a mix mash of Bethesda news, some updates around hacks and exploits and Bethesda's continued response to them, but also some interesting happenings with the future of those. We have some general news about what's going on with Fallout 76 right now and also in the coming weeks, but also some of Bethesda's kind of curious decisions as of late, as well as some minor new Wastelanders details, as well as some speculation as to what's to come next. If you guys enjoy the Fallout 76 content, you can leave a like or subscribe. We are now just a few weeks away from Wastelanders, roughly 2.5 weeks in total, so we're almost there. I'm going to have a pretty special video next week talking about what exactly you'll need to know about this upcoming DLC. But otherwise, starting things off, let's first take a look at exploits/hacks and Fallout 76. As of late, there's been a pretty constant back and forth between Bethesda and new exploits or hacks coming out, and I've been talking about it quite a bit. As of right now, things are relatively calm. Most of the dupe methods have been patched, and there isn't too many widely known methods. There still seems to be a few, but they're kind of coveted. Not many people know them because those who do know them don't want it to be patched. Which, speaking of which, just earlier this week, Bethesda did release a new hotfix addressing more of them. They basically have been doing this on a weekly basis, and this is one of those changes that we've seen kind of unofficially with the game over the past few months, that in the sense that it wasn't like in a patch notes or a big announcement that, hey, this is a thing we could do, but rather Bethesda has just been releasing hotfixes without downtime. Which hypothetically should mean in the future, Bethesda should have a much easier time addressing hacks and exploits, like particularly with Wastelanders, and it looks like more are still on the way. From the very notorious hacker with a wrecked band, we recently saw this video posted of a character editor. This is seemingly harmless, it actually is kind of funny, and I would love to see it in person if nothing else. Although, of course, as funny as that is, it still definitely represents some flaws in Bethesda's anti-cheat. If that can easily be done, other things could easily be done with similar methods. But something else that is pretty interesting is a little while ago, I showed you guys this video, this being of a new hack by the same hacker that would effectively allow you to spawn in a lot of basically any item in the game. One of the concerning parts around this hack was there's many requests that this would actually be delayed and not released until after Wastelanders. With all the duping, exploiting, etc. that we've had over the past basically 4 months at this point, most of the existing in-game items are plentiful. But when Wastelanders comes out, that'll kind of reset with all the new items that get added to the game. And as such, I think there is a pretty high likelihood that the reason we've heard nothing more around this hack is it actually is going to come out in 3 weeks after Wastelanders. Now again, Bethesda has been pretty quick to actually get on top of some of this stuff, but it'll be interesting to see if either A, we see better preventative measures with Wastelanders, including a new anti-cheat, or if in fact that we're just going to see this go live and see how quick Bethesda responds. But that definitely wouldn't be a good look if immediately following Wastelanders release, you just have a new hack that makes a lot of those rare items extremely accessible. Separate from that, as far as just nuclear winter, battle royale, and hackers and that, it's still a thing. It's still a very blatant thing. There are still periodic bans in that mode. It's not like Bethesda is completely hands-off, but it's not as plentiful as you would hope. Although outside of that, there are several things happening right now with Fallout 76, and actually more coming in the next week, even before Wastelanders. We still have this mystery item event. We are now on item 4, and dependent on how many of these mystery items you claim, you're going to get a varying prize. They also responded to actually a fairly highly upvoted Reddit thread, it seems, as they cite community requests for another XP event. So this weekend, starting today, actually, we are getting another double experience weekend, which is going to last until Monday, but there's also a 25% sale off of any legendary weapon or armor you buy at the Purveyor. Although actually an update on that, even though it was set to start today and seemingly is live, there currently is a visual glitch on some platforms where it doesn't represent or reflect in the sale price. So it'll list as full price, but seemingly if you actually buy it, it will be 25% off if you want to take the risk. I imagine this is kind of hard for Bethesda. They probably just activated it remotely, but it might be a bit more difficult to actually fix that problem remotely. So relatively minor things, but if you're somebody who's been kind of lingering at the game or just wants to kind of get ready for Wastelanders, now's a good weekend to play. Although something to kind of build off of that, we are of course approaching Wastelanders. It is a really good time to incentivize people to kind of start a new character and actually get some levels on it, maybe play the base story a bit before the big new DLC. And Bethesda, you imagine, must know this. I tweeted out speculating that it would make a lot of sense to actually do another free weekend, and they do still have 2 weekends, so it could be on the way. But a pretty interesting response I got on that is definitely worth mentioning is Bethesda might not do a free weekend with Fallout 76 because it opens the floodgates as far as exploits and hacking goes. The last time they did a free weekend, there was a fairly major exploit right at that same time, allowing you to spawn in items. So many people just created totally new accounts, spawned in a ton of items, traded them to legitimate accounts, and then when their free weekend accounts got banned, it didn't really matter. There was no cost associated with it. So I think that is interesting. A lot of game companies have been doing a variety of things to capitalize on this new influx of users at home, but we honestly haven't seen much from Bethesda outside of just double experience, which isn't super big. That was really all we got in this week's Inside the Vault article, and as far as why, it was really minor and there's basically no teases about Wastelanders. They actually talk about this, mentioning how, in light of the constantly shifting situation unfolding around the world, we are taking a bit of a step back in this week's article, although they're still planning to share more Wastelanders news and previews with you during the upcoming weeks. So I still expect another trailer, whether that be just trailer 2 or even a release trailer, as well as some other details. I did a live stream yesterday and it seems like one of the easy ones they could share details on are companions, because outside of just having them be mentioned, we otherwise know next to nothing. Although, a couple of more minor Wastelanders details that I guess were kind of revealed but I didn't realize. Fallout 76 now has a Steam store page, so you can add it to your wish list, although you can't quite pre-order it. But on this page, they actually do say, embark on a new quest for the Overseer, forge alliances with competing factions, and uncover the truth of what's hidden in the mountains. That last part, of course, referring to Vault 79, which is in fact hidden in the mountains. So although it was heavily alluded to that the Overseer would be making a return, I don't think there's technically any official confirmation up until this, literally right here. We saw her voiceover in the main trailer we got back at last year's E3, but yeah, if you didn't know, the Overseer is coming back with Wastelanders, which is definitely pretty cool. I'm a huge fan of some of those older characters making a return, or even some of the older factions. As far as playing Wastelanders, during this past week, Bethesda actually expanded the PTS quite a bit. We didn't get exact numbers as to how many additional invites went out, but there was multiple rounds of invites. So if you haven't been checking your email or even the Bethesda.net launcher, I would check again if you're on PC. It seems like they really are doing a big push as we enter into the final weeks before release. Although even outside of that, there is more coming this week. Back at PAX East, we got this community calendar, and it does list as this week we will have free consumable available in the Atomic Shop for a limited time, starting on this Tuesday. I was kind of surprised they didn't mention it in this Inside the Vault. We otherwise don't really have any details as to what exactly this free consumable will be. But that's really the last major thing or kind of tangible thing we should be getting until Wastelanders releases, or at least it's the last one we know about. And one of the last pieces of information, we just got some new ATX St. Patrick's Day themed items. A little out of my price range, a little bit too high tier for me, but actually pretty cool looking. I'll kind of just go over my reiterative line that I would always much rather an actual in-game event with some free cosmetics and then paid cosmetics also as an optional feature, but I know there's actually been a lot of people just wanting to spend their atoms on something, and this is one of the best things we've had in a while. But if you can be patient, I'm sure once Wastelanders drops, we'll have a lot in the way of microtransactions. And now we enter into what I would say is actually kind of a weird situation with 76, in that it's weirdly quiet. We have 2 more Inside the Vaults before Wastelanders, which really isn't that many. I was honestly expecting way more between the past one and this one. This one, they kind of addressed it somewhat. I wouldn't be shocked if they had bigger plans, but with the major transition Bethesda just went through. If you're not familiar, just yesterday they announced how basically all of their employees, or at the very least most of their employees, are now remote. Those who can work from home are working from home, those who can't are just at home not working. Although it doesn't seem to have a huge impact on their upcoming releases, Doom Eternal is still coming out on time, there's been no delay for Wastelanders, and customer support is still operating. But you have to imagine, with that transition just happening, it's not shocking that they don't have teasers ready this week. But it is weird still, because I feel like it's just so quiet. Like, for how much hype there is just in general around Wastelanders, there's been next to no discussion around it in like broader gaming communities, or at least I haven't seen much. Of course, as we get closer and closer, that'll build up, and Bethesda has definitely had a pretty big focus on Doom Eternal. I should have a stream on that tomorrow or the next day. But there definitely are still some lingering curiosities around Wastelanders. Will there be any kind of digital media event allowing actual press outlets to play it early to have reviews out on launch? I haven't heard anything, and considering I haven't heard anything, I feel like that's unlikely. because then now you're going to have this weird situation where NDAs will still be enacted, but technically a ton of people, like thousands of PC users and even some content creators, have beat the game in the PTS. So you might see day one reviews from some people that were able to play early, but then other people won't technically have been able to play at all yet. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting time over the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure there should be a lot more coming. We are really getting down to the wire now. And as far as my coverage go, I'm planning to have just about everything. Guides, lists of some of the new content, as well as just my impressions and even some live stream gameplay. But otherwise, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. But with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.